Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the strange, stinky, and frankly deceptive world of some of nature's most bizarre creations. We're talking about flowers that have totally abandoned charm for something, well, something far more sinister.
Most flowers you've heard of play a pretty simple, honest game. They offer up a sweet reward, something like nectar or pollen, to insects. In return, those insects help them reproduce. It's a classic win-win situation. But there's a select and fascinating group of plants that have evolved a much more sinister approach. Their strategy isn't built on mutual benefit. It's built entirely on lies. They've become absolute masters of deception. And what's their main tool of deception? They lure their victims in with a perfume that's irresistible to some, and to us, utterly disgusting. This is literally the scent of death, and for certain insects, that's the smell of a golden opportunity. Okay, so let's get right into it and meet our main subject, the magnificent Amorphophallus titanum. You probably know it by its much more descriptive name, the corpse flower. Right off the bat, this plant is a bundle of shocking contradictions. It's a botanical celebrity, famous for its massive size and its unbelievable stench. And all of this presents us with the central mystery we're going to unravel today. And when we say large, we really mean it. This isn't just a flower, it's a giant. The tallest recorded flower structure, it's technically called an inflorescence, reached a staggering 322.5 centimeters. That's over 10.5 feet tall. And this really captures the plant's extreme nature, right? Its massive blooms are incredibly rare. Sometimes it takes a whole decade for one to appear. And when it finally happens, this gigantic, spectacular event is over in just a couple of days. It's a true paradox of nature. So, to understand this whole stinky strategy, we first need to get a handle on the fundamental challenge that every single flowering plant on Earth has to deal with, the pollination problem. See, plants are stuck in one place, right? They need to get their pollen over to another flower to reproduce, but they can't just walk it over. So they need a delivery service, and that service is almost always provided by some kind of animal. Now, here's the crucial point. Over millions of years, plants evolved two main ways to attract their careers. The first is to be a rewarding restaurant, offering real food like nectar. The second, much sneakier path, is to be a convincing fake, to trick pollinators into visiting without giving them any reward at all. So, as you might have guessed, the corpse flower is an absolute master of deception. It has evolved this incredibly sophisticated structure that basically functions as a highly effective pitfall trap. This is brilliant. It shows how all these different parts of the flower work together like an arsenal of deception. That big, petal-like structure, the spathe, has this deep red color that looks just like meat. Inside, the walls are designed to be impossibly slippery, and just to make sure no one leaves the party early, it has these clever little fences made of sterile flowers that block the exit. It's a one-way-in system. The whole process is just ingenious. First, that smell lures the insects in. They land, they slip, and they fall right into the trap. Then, as they're wandering around looking for a way out, they accidentally pollinate the female flowers down at the bottom. The flower holds them prisoner for about a day, then its male flowers mature, dust the insects with fresh pollen, the trap deactivates, and the prisoners are finally released to go find another stinky flower to trick. But of course, the trap only works if the lure is convincing, and that comes down to a really precise, powerful, and absolutely disgusting chemical cocktail. It all starts with the flower generating its own heat. Get this, the central stalk, or spadix, can warm up to human body temperature. This process is called thermogenesis, and it helps vaporize all those smelly compounds, creating this powerful scent beacon that can be detected from up to half a mile away. And here it is, the flower's secret recipe for a corpse. It's this complex blend of chemicals, and each one mimics a different aspect of decay. You've got compounds that smell like rotting fish, sweaty socks, and even feces. It's a chemical masterpiece, perfectly designed to trick flies and beetles into thinking they found a decaying animal, the perfect spot for a meal or to lay their eggs. Now, you might be thinking the Titan arum is a complete one-off, a beautiful freak of nature. But this gruesome strategy of smelling like death is surprisingly common. Just look at this. The The Titan arum and the corpse lily, or Rafflesia, are completely unrelated. They're in different plant families, they have radically different lifestyles. One grows from a massive tuber, the other is a parasite with no real body of its own. And yet, they both independently evolved the exact same grotesque solution to the pollination problem: smell like a dead thing to attract flies. This is a classic and wonderfully smelly example of what scientists call convergent evolution. It's the process where nature arrives at the same answer, in this case, smell like a corpse, through completely different evolutionary paths. And it's not just these two giants. Within the Titan arum's own family, the Araceae, this pitfall trap strategy has evolved on its own at least 10 separate times. This isn't an accident. It's a blueprint for success that has proven its worth over and over and over again. So what should you take away from this dive into the world of stinky flowers? Well, these plants are not evolutionary mistakes or oddities. They are highly sophisticated survivors playing a very, very clever game. The logic is actually quite ruthless, but brilliant. If you're going to lie to your pollinators by not offering a real reward, you have to make absolutely sure they can't leave before the job is done. The trap isn't just a lure, it's a guarantee of service. Ultimately, the corpse flower teaches us some incredible lessons about evolution. It shows that deception can be just as powerful as honesty, that complex features are built from an entire arsenal of smaller tricks, and that nature often finds the same clever solution again and again. Survival, it turns out, isn't always about being sweet. Sometimes it's about being a perfect, beautiful liar. It's a fascinating thought that leaves us with one final question to ponder. What other deceptions are hiding out there in plain sight, fooling us and other creatures right under our noses? Thanks for joining this explainer.